I wasn't a big fan of James Gunn's one recurring theme that turned out perfect for Superman. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn's knack of adding weird and obscure characters in movies wasn't always ideal, but Green Lantern worked out perfectly for Superman. Pick any James Gunn movie, and you might find one or two characters that are just different from all the rest. Alien, human, god, it doesn't matter to Gunn as the director simply wants to have fun. James Gunn has a knack for adding weird and obscure characters to create a subplot in almost all of his movies. Be it the Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad or Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. The director did something similar in the recently released DCU flick, Superman. Introduced Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner/Green Lantern as a member of the Justice Gang, the pre-release reviews weren't too great about the character. Well, it turns out that James Gunn has done it again with his brilliance, as despite that weird haircut, people have become fans of the newly introduced Green Lantern. Powerful, fun, and serious when the problem arose, Guy Gardner was a character who was unpredictable and fun at the same time. I was unhappy when Green Lantern refused to rescue Superman from the Pocket Universe, but that quickly turned into laughter when he cared so much about the name Justice Gang and his haircut. Although I wasn't a fan of the weird haircut that Nathan Fillion had for his role as Guy Gardner, I quickly changed my mind when Fillion's Guy Gardner walked onto the big screen and helped Superman defeat that giant being. Powerful, fun, and serious when the problem arose, Guy Gardner was a character who was unpredictable and fun at the same time. I was unhappy when Green Lantern refused to rescue Superman from the Pocket Universe, but that quickly turned into laughter when he cared so much about the name Justice Gang and his haircut. The reason this comic version of the yee haircut version of Green Lantern worked in the Superman movie is because of how James Gunn set the overall tone of the movie. Though weird, uncaring, and trying to be cool, Guy Gardner was indeed a subplot that Gunn wanted to add, but turns out, he's a pretty chill guy to have around. Although I was never a fan of the extremely weird and obscure characters that Gunn introduced in his movies, looking at you, Polka Dot Man, Guy Gardner is a weird person that I'm looking forward to seeing in other DCU projects. Much like his thoughts about Superman, Gunn decided to let the character of Guy Gardner be himself rather than being an all-serious, no-good two-dimensional nobody. Hence, Gunn essentially proved that superheroes do not need to be cool. They just need to be themselves. I personally loved Nathan Fillion's portrayal of Green Lantern, and despite his weirdness and an unhealthy obsession with the Justice Gang, he was still a cool character to have around. Remember Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern from 2010? It was inconsistent with its tone and tried to be a serious origin movie while also wanting to be a comedic film. We all know how that turned out. On the other hand, James Gunn's Superman aims to tackle a serious issue while peppering humor throughout the movie. Despite being unpredictable, Guy Gardner was never inconsistent with his character. Even James Gunn admitted that his aim wasn't to make Superman look cool, but rather to be the person that he is. What are your thoughts about this bizarre version of Green Lantern? Drop your comments down below. A dark deleted Lex Luthor scene and casting what-ifs reveal surprising layers behind James Gunn's new Superman film. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Superman is probably hopeful overall, but it almost got really dark with a deleted scene that showed just how ruthless Lex Luthor really is. In the movie, Superman is trapped and weakened, and he watches helplessly as Lex executes Malik Ali, a kind falafel vendor who had helped him earlier. Though the movie shows this only briefly and from a distance, originally, it was way more eerie and graphic. James Gunn has apparently revealed a deleted moment involving Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, that ramps up the villain's cruelty to a shocking level. Even though Gunn's Superman may have shaped up the DCU's most hopeful chapter yet, it almost plunged into disturbingly dark territory with Hoult's scene. In the second act, after Superman, aka David Corenswet, turns himself in to save Krypto the dog, he's powerless to stop Luthor from executing Malik Ali. While Gunn originally shot the scene in far gorier detail, it turns out to be really dark. As Gunn himself admitted in a Happy Sad Confused podcast, "There's a really dark thing in there. Once I saw the movie, I'm like, this is too dark." Though the scene was toned down in the final cut, the hint of it still lingers, giving Hoult's Luthor an unnerving edge without even crossing into outright horror. And Burek, he's so funny. He lays down on his back and starts soaking up the blood. Then Nick looks over at Superman and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." Gunn even admitted that Nicholas Holt's delivery was perfect, and that moment shows Lex's cold, controlling side in a way that's almost unrealistic and shocking. Furthermore, Gunn shared that the scene was cut early because it pushed things too far and wasn't included in test screenings. Even so, it's clear he wanted to show a darker, more complex a villain who's not just evil but ice-cold and calculating. What makes the scene so chilling is the twisted power play that follows. Zlatko Buric, who plays the Boravian president Vasil Gurkos, actually lies down on the floor to soak up Malik's blood. As Gunn shared. Moreover, Cooper wasn't the right fit for Lex, given his age. However, Gunn had plenty of praise for him. He said, "Bradley would have been a great Lex. Bradley's great at everything." Instead, Cooper took on the role of Jor-El, Superman's father, in a cameo that the creator said required someone with the stature of what we imagine that character being, comparing the legacy to Marlon Brando's original portrayal. Also, Gunn explained that casting Cooper as Jor-El worked better because another major revelation James Gunn shared was about the casting choices for Superman, and admitted that Bradley Cooper was actually considered for the role of Lex Luthor before Nicholas Hoult was cast. Yep, on the podcast, Gunn explained, "I did talk to Bradley about it. We had a short conversation, and at the end, I did want Lex to be someone that was more a contemporary of Superman's." Though Gunn reasoned that Lex needed to be closer in age to Superman to highlight the rivalry, he did admit that Lex's character is crucial for Superman as well as the DC universe. But honestly, what if Cooper had played Lex Luthor? It must have been tempting. Given Cooper's charisma and range, he could have given Lex a different kind of edge. Cooper's Lex may have been a more intense, brooding villain who's just as charming as he is dangerous. A lot of times, Jor-El is played by a 70-year-old man, and that means he was 70 when he had a baby, so I wanted somebody that wasn't too old. Undoubtedly, Cooper's presence did bring a fresh take on the iconic role. In the end, Gunn was confident of both his choices as Hoult delivered a compelling, younger Lex while Cooper brought depth to Jor-El's character. However, Cooper as Jor-El also makes sense because he commands respect and warmth, fitting the role of Superman's father perfectly. Honestly, I think both actors were placed where they shine brightest, but the what if of Cooper as Lex will definitely linger in fans' minds as an exciting alternate universe. What do you think? Would Bradley Cooper have nailed Lex Luthor? Drop your thoughts and favorite Superman moments below. But honestly, what if Cooper had played Lex Luthor? It must have been tempting. Given Cooper's charisma and range, he could have given Lex a different kind of edge. Cooper's Lex may have been a more intense, brooding villain who's just as charming as he is dangerous. James Gunn's Superman paid tribute to Christopher Reeve by incorporating a role that defines personal and professional careers together. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Will Reeve's cameo